got this email from Kenneth.
Hi, Kenneth.
Says, what are y'all's take with drinking whiskey? We were talking about neat or over ice. What are y'all's take with drinking whiskey in a frozen copper mug, no ice? I tried the Frey Ranch whiskey. Oh my God, the Rad Frey Ranch whiskey like that, and I found it amazing. No ice to water it down, but it was chilled. Okay, have you ever tried that?
I mean, I usually take frozen glasses and put them in there because then it just cools it down a little bit.
For that exact reason, but it doesn't water it down.
It doesn't water it down.
Is there anything? What changes, Colby, without the? So the ice waters it down. What might change about the flavor profile by getting it so cold?
It's not quite as hot tasting, and so a lot of times they actually have these. They're like rocks or like metal cubes that are like kind of look like ice cubes. But they're metal. You put them in the freezer, you put them in your whiskey, and it does the same thing. It cools it without melting the ice and actually lowering the proof.
So it's the exact same thing. 'Cause that's what I use the giant ice balls if I for some reason I want it colder.
Yep.
But they don't melt and they don't change the profile at all. They just cool it off.
Yep.
Matt wrote in and said, I met CK in Folsom at the Folsom Bottle Shop. My wife and I went in there for the first time with one thing in mind, to buy the Rad Radio turkey brine.
Oh.
But we will be back. He offered us some of the Frey Ranch from your first bottling, and damn, that was good. Thank you, CK, for sharing. We will be back.
Thank you.
Yes, CK at all the bottle shops does carry all of the Rad Radio food products.
So I just wanted to talk about at the break we talked about the barrels being so close. So I just had Russell from Folsom Bottle Shop send me the picture. Our last pick that we did at 134.80 proof was barrel number 1316, and the one you and I and Chris picked is 1304, so only 12 barrels apart.
What is the significance of that, Colby? What does that mean?
That's the order that we filled them. So you guys are really consistent, because it's funny how they kind of do that with the wood and everything from the cooperage, and so that is the 1304th barrel we ever filled, and I think we're at like 15,000 almost.
Oh, in
now,
history.
In history.
So these, how old is this? As the one that we tried before the break, the Rob and CK barrel. How old is this bottle?
I haven't looked it right up, but it's 6 years something, okay. 6 point something years old. Yeah.
So that's the significance of it. But yet they don't taste identical.
No.
They're completely different flavor profiles.
It could literally be the same batch. I mean, it could be the same tank. We have a 500-gallon or 1,000-gallon, whatever tank of whiskey. We fill up different barrels at the same day, and 6 years from now, they taste completely different. And so that's from the wood. It's the char that the wood is, where it was in the forest, what part of the tree. There's so many different variables.
Fascinating how much goes into this. Wish I would have known this at 19 when I'm shooting the whiskey with strawberry soda.
The other thing is, we all know Colby's background. Everybody, farmer, long time in the family and everything else. But even Russell was not a master distiller beforehand. He was a crop consultant, right?
Yeah, so he was a certified crop consultant. There's only a few in the state of Nevada.
Damn.
And so the importance of that is he really understands the agriculture side also, and the distilling side. And I think there's a big disconnect in the whiskey world between farmers and distillers. The distillers have a hard time articulating what they need to the farmer. The farmer has a hard time understanding what the distiller needs, and so by really understanding both sides, you really get the best. Yeah.
So we tried the Rob and CK barrel pick, which is available, and then we're also selling a second bottle, which is the Brandon and Christina. Are you sure? I'm not being a smart ass. Are you sure you poured me the right one? This is Brandon's pick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I get a big old sweet profile.
Yeah,
on this.
I was thinking the same thing.
It is definitely sweet.
Yeah. So I mean it's very similar just in aroma to the first one that we had.
Yeah, this is a lot more caramels coming out.
Yeah, unless Chris Dooley told us they were the wrong ones.
Well, but either way, it's a different barrel or a different bottle.
Oh yeah, it is. Now this one's like so much more spicy to me. But it's funny you get
Now I'm starting to be reminded why it was so difficult for us to only pick one.
Yeah. I'm getting like a spiced apple almost.
Okay.
Like very, very apple caramel spice.
I think that is such a great. The spice helps me understand. So I wouldn't say offensive, but the smell of yours and CK's, Rob, was not as like, this is like, whoa, it hit me at first. It really hit me. Not like bad, but it just really like it was a stronger smell for me.
Stupidly obvious question, CK. Is it noted on the website when they go to NorCal bottle shops whether it's the Rob barrel or the
Yes.
Brandon barrel, so that they can easily, if they have to choose? I mean, they should get both, but it's easy. All right, Brandon, have you tried your selection?
I have, and I still stand by it. I wouldn't say that it's better than the Rob and CK bottle or Rob and Kyle bottle. Yeah, CK was there too. But this definitely has a little bit more burn.
Yeah.
A little more spice, a little more smoke. I love it. I have a hard time picking which one's better.
And there is now that I've tasted it, there is a little less sweet. It's still sweet, but it's replaced by the spicy burn that I'm noticing.
Yeah, and I think this one too, like when I taste it, like I said, the last one had a really creamy mouthfeel. This one's a little bit drier, where when you put it in your mouth, it doesn't quite taste as creamy. It's a little bit like, and so some people like that bite. Like we did one barrel pick one time, and the guy says, I want my whiskey to leave skid marks.
Oh,
and I'm
God.
like, what does that mean? You know, like, and so like some people like that stuff. You know what I mean? And so I don't know how to interpret that, but it was, yeah.
Other than the skid mark remark, this is what it's like in the room after you've tasted everything. Yeah. Where we go around and we try to figure out a consensus, and this is how we wound up going, can we just have both? Because this is so. Do you notice a difference, Dawn? Really?
Yes, absolutely. This is it's not bad. It's just definitely I would slip this slower because it hits me harder than the other one did.
Well,
and maybe it's that creamy that he was talking about in that one, and it's not a bad taste. It just, as Brandon already said, the burn is stronger.
And part of that, a big part
For
of that,
me.
is, and when it comes to the flavor, is the spice. So that's going to translate to sensitive or naive palates as burn.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all going to burn. It's whiskey. But the spice, and of course, Brandon being part Mexican, and my wife, they love spicy food even higher than I do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think that's ironic that that's a big part of this.
Absolutely.
And is the proof higher on this one, or is it lower?
No,
Do we
that's
have-
the ironic part. This one's 4 proof, like a little over 2% less alcohol on this.
Oh yeah! Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
That is amazing. Well,
That is.
2 high-quality products.
And that's why when we all, like, personally, when, I'm picking a barrel, I don't ever want to, if I can, I don't want to know the proof, because we're not trying to pick the highest proof. We're trying to pick the best bourbon.
And also age.
And
We've
age.
learned age doesn't matter.
Age
Everything
doesn't
else,
matter.
the older the better. Not always.
No,
nice.
because the barrel that was labeled Rockland Rad, that was the barrel in the 900s. So that one was even older barrel than these ones, but the last barrel that we picked, which was 1316, was younger, but it was better than the very first one.
Yep.
So
We got this email from Evan says, I will buy these. I'm glad to hear that the last one you guys did is the best of the best. I have one unopened waiting for a special day.
oh, I love
Very
that.
nice.
It's
Today's
worth it.
that day.
Carlos says, listening in on the whiskey conversation, and what was said about the longer the whiskey is in the barrel, the more it masks the grain flavor is exactly what made me try out white tequilas. I don't want to taste the oak. I want to taste the more pure flavor, and thought this process from Frey Ranch has now piqued my interest in their whiskey. And then No Name on Sis says, ask Colby about their single grain distillery exclusive stuff.
Oh man, so that's something you can only get at the distillery. And like I said earlier, my whole goal in doing the distillery was to showcase the grains that we grow on the farm. And so we have 100% rye, which is available to everybody, but we also made 100% wheat, 100% corn, 100% malted barley, 100% like a Scotch style, like all these single grain series. Then we also have a malted series that's available right now, and it's we have quad malt, where it's the same mash bill as our bourbon, but they're all malted. And for those of you that don't know what malted is that's when you take the grain is a seed, and you sprout it, and then you stop any future growth by drying it, and that's considered malt. Malting is when you sprout the grain. And so we have that, and we have 100% corn malt, where we sprouted the corn and then malted. It tastes completely different. If you like sweet whiskeys, that's what these are. They're crazy. Like it's interesting.
And people can visit Frey Ranch every weekend.
Yep, every weekend, Saturday, noon to 4.
They can't visit any other time. They can't show up and buy. It's only Saturday, noon to 4.
Only Saturday, noon to 4. Yep, at the distillery.
Yep, I want to say when we went out to the distillery, your guys' hospitality was on point. You guys were such amazing hosts. Like we had an amazing time, and thank you for feeding us sandwiches.
because that's the only thing Kyle could hold down on that day.
Got you onto the bus at least,
And,
huh?
and remember, Rob, you were the second best. Let me remind you, Christmas is coming. You were
Yes.
the second best boss Kyle has ever had.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Fortunately, that is enshrined in video on the membership site.
Brandon's mean.
Yes, and Brandon's mean, and I totally am not watching those as I prepare Christmas bonuses. So, both of these bottles are available at NorCalBottleShops.com. You will pick them up early next week in Folsom, Rockland, or Marysville, or they can be shipped to you. Thank you so much, Colby, for being here.
Thank you.
Love you guys at Frey Ranch. CK, you're okay yourself.
Yes.
NorCalBottleShops.com.
What could